Welcome back. In this video, we are going to explore some powerful truths about how and why we've come to rely on imposter syndrome as a coping strategy. By the end of this session, you'll be able to understand the psychological roots behind your imposter feelings, and especially as a woman and possibly as a neurodivergent professional, as so many professional women are. Recognize the specific workplace and social patterns that once made imposter strategies feel protective or necessary. Identify the hidden motivators behind perfectionism, overfunctioning, and approval seeking. Reflect on how these coping styles were once adaptive responses and what's shifting now. Start to build self-compassion by acknowledging the wisdom of your past strategies without letting them run your future. Let's begin this next part with a conscious pause. We are not here to judge or rush. We are here to understand. You see, every single one of your coping strategies, even the ones that frustrate you now, began with a brilliant adaptive motivation to protect you. That perfectionism, it likely shielded you from shame. That self-doubt, it helped you stay modest in environments where confidence was punished. That invisibility cloak you sometimes wear at work, it may have kept you safe in a room where being too bold as a woman or too sensitive as a neurodivergent person felt dangerous. These aren't flaws. These are survival skills. They just got overused. Why we leaned into imposter syndrome. The imposter syndrome is not a personal failing, it's an emotional shield. For many of us, it became a strategy to stay small enough to be safe, quiet enough to be accepted, and hardworking enough to be seen as valuable even when invisible. There are several deep motivations at play. Belonging. If you grew up or worked in environments where standing out drew fire, whether that was actual criticism, exclusion, or just the feeling of not fitting in, then humility, self-doubt, and overachievement may have been your golden ticket to social safety. Avoiding shame. If being wrong or being emotional or making mistakes brought embarrassment or punishment, then over-preparing, second-guessing, or underclaiming your value kept you safe from humiliation. Love and approval. Some of us were taught that we had to earn love through performance. The imposter pattern, always striving to prove ourselves, is one way our younger selves learned to reach for affection, even if it came at the cost of our peace. Control. For those of us living with trauma, ADHD, ASD, or CPTSD, control is often a form of self-comfort. If you can control the narrative, even if that means overworking and perfectionism, maybe you can keep chaos at bay. None of this means you are broken. It means you are brilliant. The protective system. A metaphor. Think of these strategies like an old suit of armor. Maybe it was heavy. Maybe it didn't fit perfectly. But it was yours and it kept you safe in battles you had no choice but to fight. The imposter syndrome was part of your armor. Now, you're still wearing it even though the battlefield has changed. It's rusted in places. It pinches. It's no longer helping, and sometimes it's holding you back. But you don't need to throw it all away. You just need to learn which pieces you can let go of and which ones can be transformed into wisdom. Motivations versus identity. Another key insight here. Your coping strategies are not your identity. You are not your imposter syndrome. You are not your self-doubt. You are not your over-preparation. These were actions taken with care and precision in a specific emotional context. Understanding this is an act of liberation. You may even notice some grief as you let go of these familiar behaviors. That's okay. It makes sense to mourn what once protected you, even if you've outgrown it. The role of conditioning. Many women, especially those raised in patriarchal cultures or achievement-focused families, learn early that they must make themselves smaller to be safe or loved. Don't be too loud, too bossy, too confident. We are conditioned to dim our light so others don't feel threatened. Neurodivergent women often add another layer: masking. Masking involves copying social behavior, suppressing authentic responses, and performing normalcy to survive in spaces not built for you. For many, imposter syndrome is a byproduct of decades of pretending to fit in. When you're always playing a role, the good girl, the perfect student, the nice coworker, it becomes very hard to know who you are underneath. So you feel like an imposter, not because you are one, but because you haven't been allowed to be your full self. Safety first. A trauma lens. The brain's first job is not growth. It's safety. If you've ever frozen when asked a direct question, gone blank during a presentation, avoided leadership because it felt wrong, said no worries when you were fuming inside, then you've experienced your nervous system doing its job, keeping you from perceived danger. Except that danger isn't always physical. It could be social rejection, embarrassment, shame, and the imposter syndrome. It's your brain's way of saying, let's play it safe. Don't draw attention. Don't expect too much. But safety and stagnation are not the same. From armor to awareness. We don't need to discard all these coping strategies. That would be like stepping into a storm naked. Instead, we bring awareness. What once protected you may still serve a purpose, but you get to choose how and when. You are the author now. When you start to notice your patterns, not shame them, you become free to write new ones. The armor doesn't get thrown away. It gets melted down and reforged into tools. Clarity, discernment, boundaries. Claire's realization. Let's bring this to life for a moment. Claire has always prided herself on being prepared, never late, always polished, 10 steps ahead. But lately, she's noticed her age is becoming a burden. She feels exhausted before work even starts. When she sits down at her desk, her heart's already racing, thinking of the dozens of ways something could go wrong. During a coaching call, she blurts out, "I just don't want to mess it up." Her coach pauses. "What would happen if you did?" And Claire can't answer. Not because she's never messed up, but because she's built her whole sense of value on not messing up. Perfectionism has been her shield, but it's also been a cage. She starts small, speaking up in a team meeting without a pre-written script, letting a project draft go forward without triple proofing. She breathes through the anxiety. Nothing breaks. She realizes her competence was never in doubt. But her nervous system didn't know that until she showed it. Claire's armor is getting lighter. Integration through compassion. This work isn't about fixing you. You were never broken. It's about understanding. Honoring the version of you that adapted so beautifully to an unfair world and choosing from this moment forward to move with intention rather than instinct. This is what imposter healing looks like. Not a dramatic transformation, but a quiet reunion with your truest self. Other faces of the imposter. Let's explore a few more ways imposter syndrome manifests in real life. The chameleon. Always adapting, always blending in. The chameleon learns to mirror others in order to be liked or accepted. It may look like social ease, but it's deeply exhausting. Claire remembers a team building day where she matched her manager's mannerisms so perfectly, someone joked, "Are you two related?" Claire laughed, but inside she felt hollow. She couldn't remember the last time she'd just been herself. The overthinker. They replay conversations over and over. Every word, every gesture analyzed for flaws. They may procrastinate not because they're lazy, but because they are terrified of getting it wrong. The collector of proof. Degrees, certificates, titles, anything to prove they belong. But no matter how many accolades they earn, the feeling of being not enough lingers. The invisible achiever. Does brilliant work behind the scenes but resists being the face of the project. They are told they need to put themselves forward more, but it feels unnatural, given unsafe. These patterns don't arise randomly. They are logical outcomes of social, emotional, and cultural messages, especially for women who've been taught that humility is virtue, assertiveness is arrogance, and ambition is unattractive. A word about anger. Sometimes when you realize just how much these patterns have cost you. Time, money, peace, and joy. Anger surfaces. Good. Let it. Anger is a sign that your boundaries are reawakening. It's the part of you that knows you deserved better from others, from systems, from yourself. It's not destructive unless it stays trapped. Channel it. Use it. Let it fuel your commitment to write a new story. Tending to your nervous system. As you do this work, your body may have something to say. You might notice shakiness, brain fog, sudden fatigue, and irritability. These are signs of nervous system recalibration. You're not regressing, you're reorganizing. Your system is learning a new rhythm. Try adding grounding rituals as you continue, such as breath work, gentle movement, walking in nature, journaling with your non-dominant hand. Body dabbling or co-working sessions for emotional co-regulation. These aren't indulgences, they are investments. A preview of new strategies. As we close this part of the module, let's get practical. What do some of these upgraded coping strategies look like in the real world? Practical workplace examples. Old pattern. Claire would spend hours perfecting presentation slides, terrified of seeming underprepared. New strategy. She sets a 2-hour prep limit and reminds herself it's the conversation, not the font size, that lands the deal. Old pattern. A senior woman in marketing, Anika, avoids speaking in executive meetings unless asked directly, worried about sounding pushy. New strategy. She prepares 2 concise strategic insights to contribute each meeting, one early in the agenda, one at the close, so her voice shapes the conversation. Old pattern. Devika from finance takes on every extra task, hoping to be noticed. New strategy. She now asks, how does this align with my growth priorities before saying yes, and she's coaching her team to take more ownership. Old pattern. May an operations leader constantly seeks external validation before making a decision. New strategy. She's practicing decision affirmation, noting down the rationale for each choice and giving herself 24 hours before second guessing. Old pattern. Zara, a UX director, used to mask her ADHD traits by over-preparing and downplaying her needs. New strategy. She now openly shares her strengths in divergent thinking and requests visual agendas, then follow-up checklists as standard practice. These aren't just behavioral tweaks. They are acts of reclaiming power, and they ripple outward, making you a more effective, inspiring, and sustainable leader. Stepping into quantum competence. You're not left helpless. You're evolving toward strategies that are rooted in your values. Nourishing, not draining. Flexible, not rigid. Brave, not performative. We'll explore these in the next parts of the module. For now, celebrate this turning point. You've named what once protected you. You've thanked it, and you're ready to grow beyond it. Reflective exercise. In the Module 3 PDF or in your journal, write on the following questions. When you think of the strategies you've used to cope with imposter feelings, which ones stand out? What situations first taught you that self-doubt, overwork, or playing small would protect you? What did these strategies give you? Belonging, safety, approval, control. Can you name the core motivation behind your strongest imposter-driven habit? What would it feel like to gently thank that habit and begin to let it go?
To build on the great progress you've made, join me in Part 5, where we will consider how my coping strategies benefit me.